Wait, one sec. I'm ordering my takeaway while we do this.
Okay. Okay.
Any other things you want to slide into it?
I need someone to turn off the sun. just for an hour whilst we record this. Can we just turn the sun off?
I don't think I've got a magic sun button, I'm afraid. I'm not Monty Burns.
Oh, you didn't shut out for the deluxe package. The deluxe package has a button for the sun.
Oh, Ralphie, did you hear that? We've not got the button.
Ralph is not going to be your best friend right now.
You've got to see how she's staring at me. She's just laying on her back staring at me with her paws up.
Ghost has gone one step further. He's not even in the same room with me. He's downstairs in the living room with a fan on him, lying on the sofa.
Oh, bless him.
I'm guessing for them it's like wearing like a big thick winter coat in the middle of summer.
I bet you anything that there's someone out there right now doing that.
Oh God, yeah. You know, you always get them. Like it's vice versa as well. In the winter, you get somebody walking around in shorts like it's mid-30s.
Usually the postman.
Yeah, usually. Do we sound like 1,000-year-old boomers right now by saying this? These young'uns in their shorts.
We've just aged rapidly in the summer.
Oh God,
Your damn legs away.
when you're a kid, when you're younger, like this kind of weather is like perfect. It's one of those things that you feel like you've got an endless summer, like it never seems to end. But then when you're an adult and you have an endless summer, it never seems to end. It's like, oh, please, just can I have the autumn back? Can I have some cooler weather, please, so I can actually manage?
Yeah, absolutely. It's awful.
Oh God.
That's why I'm getting grumpier with it as I get older.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. Never seemed to bother me this much, and now I'm just like turning into a grumpy old man when I wake up in the morning. It's like, oh, it's mid-20s again. Oh God. I'm wearing a sports shirt and some shorts at the moment, some jean shorts. But I was very tempted to go au natural today because it has been so blisteringly hot.
Oh man, I think for the most part today I've just been in my underwear, except for when I've had to go out.
It's one of those things that if you don't have anyone to impress or anyone's coming over or going anywhere, it's literally come through the door after work and he's like, everything comes off. He's like, I'm just going to lie on the sofa for about half an hour.
Before I get down to temperature.
Before I get back down to my usual temperature. How have you been, Andy? Apart from the sun?
I've been good. I've been doing the house up.
Ooh, okay. What have you been doing?
Exhausting. Oh, well, today I've been painting the hallway. Refit a door latch, 2 door handles, and 2 external pipes.
Yay, adulting!
Adulting. It's taking up all my time at the moment.
What colour have you gone for in the hallway?
Redone it in the colour it is in. It's Egyptian cotton. Quite a neutral shade.
It sounds really posh, but I bet it's like white or something.
It's like a cream.
Oh, okay. Oh, close then. I was close.
How have you been? What have you been up to?
What have I been doing today? No, I've not really been doing that much apart from the usual. So I've been streaming, I've been editing. When I'm not doing that, I've been playing a bit on the Xbox. And also, as well, a fun fact, on Thursday, I was sitting in the work cafeteria, just minding my own business, eating lunch, and my glasses decided, I'm going to break today. So I am currently wearing glasses with only one leg at the moment.
Oh my gosh, I saw the photo of it, and it's like the whole leg's just come clean right off, hasn't it?
It would make sense if maybe it fell off my face and fell on the floor, or if I sat on it, or I stood on it, or did some kind of physical damage to it. But I was literally just sitting there eating my lunch, and the leg decided, I'm going to go away now.
Just dropped into your food.
Not quite, but very, very close. It almost dropped in my chips, but not quite.
I lost your glasses into your chips. Oh.
I've heard of having a chip on your shoulder, but a chip on your glasses. Yeah, that happened to me this week. I also, side note as well, we've both been sick. Me and Ash have both been sick this week. We've been collecting this bug that's been going around. I think Nathan had it originally, then gave it to Gina. And then Gina gave it to me, and then I gave it to Ash. So we like sharing in this household. We do. So we've been feeling very icky right now. I feel better now, but at the beginning of the week, I felt very icky.
Yeah, Ash has been recovering from his operation, hasn't he?
Yeah. So long story short, Ash has to have regular or semi-regular endoscopies to check his esophagus because he had an operation on his stomach a couple of years back. They have to make sure that everything's okay, nothing's developed, they shouldn't have developed, that sort of thing. He has to have that every couple of years or so. So he went for an endoscopy on Tuesday, I think it was, as we record this. which he was very, very nervous about. Last time he went for an endoscopy, it was very traumatic because he told the people that were going to be doing it, I will need to be knocked out or sedated for this because my body will fight you if you try and go through my nose or try and go through my throat. My body will fight you the entire way. And a couple of years ago, the consultants were like, no, we're going to try it anyway. And obviously then they realised, oh wait, he's telling the truth, why would he lie? And completely shredded his vocal cords for a couple of days afterwards. This time, they listened to him straight away. So they sedated him a little bit. They didn't knock him out, they sedated him, which meant that after he had it done, after a couple of hours after he came home, his voice was still intact. It didn't sound like he'd been smoking like 100 cigarettes a day. So that was good. Although he did still have a cold at that point, so even though he recovered from a trauma of the endoscopy, he was still feeling very, very ill and spent most of the day in bed the day afterwards, about 11 hours straight in bed.
I do think that he should have brought him flowers, not given him a cold.
Yeah, you see, like I like to try things differently. I'm not like all the other guys.
Mix up, keep the romance alive.
You're feeling well this time. Well, I have something new for you. It's called flu or cold, whatever it was.
Honey, I got your favourite germs.
That's exactly how the conversation went.
I can see it. The scene is set in my head.
Hey, did you order germs?
So speaking of scenes, have you been writing recently?
I will say that because of the hot weather, I haven't been writing as much as I wanted to. But then again, I have been finding other times to write. So normally, as I mentioned in the last podcast, I normally write before I'm going to bed or after I've just woken up or at the weekend. But in between the last podcast and this one, I've recently started a new job. And there are moments, and there has been a couple of moments this couple of weeks or so, where the work is kind of drying up a little bit for whatever reason. Nothing to worry about, just that part of the year, because everyone's going back to school now. So I've found myself with a bit more downtime. So I have been cranking open my the software that I use for my scripts and doing a little bit of writing at the last couple of hours of work. Just sneaking it in there and then. So yeah, I've been doing a little bit of writing, not as much as I wanted to, but I have been doing a little bit of it.
A little's better than nothing, isn't it?
Exactly. Every little bit helps. I know I sound like Tesco now by saying that, but it's true.
And now, unrelated, a word from our next sponsor.
And now I'm just going to leave you for 5 minutes whilst Prunella Scales will tell you about Tesco. But yeah, I've been doing writing here and there. It's been very kind of sporadic the last couple of weeks. And I've also, like I said, I'm not, if you remember from the last podcast, I got stuck on a scene which was basically a massive info dump. And I did decide to split it up. So I am in the middle of doing that at the moment. And I much prefer it this way.
Good. Are you feeling confident with that direction you're taking it?
I mean, it's still first draft, so it could end up just being completely cut or turn into a different scene later on down the line. But I like this version a lot better than I did beforehand. It flows a lot better. It's more broken up, so people aren't just like info dump straight away. Kind of spread out, and you can. I've found you can kind of like sprinkle in information rather than just here's a long bit of exposition. Go. It's more subtle. It's more subtle and more manageable that way.
Yeah. The downside is you might end up with 2 sets of info dump.
Yeah, that's the thing, or 3 or 4, or however long it needs to be.
Yeah, you'll just go scene info dump. So you've got to edit that really well.
It's a balance. It's an uneasy balance sometimes. Oh, that's another thing as well. Also at work, you know how I was saying that I like to plan things a lot?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't planned anything past a scene up into the scene because it's obviously this has been a bit of a bugbear for me recently, this scene. So I haven't planned anything afterwards. So in between trying to split that scene up and make it flow a bit better and a little bit more manageable, I've wrote a timeline of my script story in chronological order.
Oh.
Because my script isn't in chronological order, or it starts in the middle, I haven't worked out in my head what happens before and what happens after this bit I'm currently writing. So I've not mapped out the entire thing, but I have kind of, as I've gone along in the script, I've gone back through it going, well, this happens there, that happens there. And it's also kind of helped me kind of work out where some plot holes might be. So for instance, there is a scene that happens at the same time as another scene, but it can't happen at the same time as another scene because the character's in 2 places at once. And I would have noticed that unless I'd done a timeline to kind of work out where everybody was at a certain time. It's been actually very helpful.
How does this timeline actually look? Is it scenes all laid out on a spreadsheet, or is it like on flashcards?
It's on a spreadsheet because I do like a spreadsheet. I'm very nerdy like that. It's
Who
on a
doesn't love a
spreadsheet.
spreadsheet?
I've done it as not so much every scene, like scene by scene, but I've done it like every beat, so kind of like beat by beat, breaking down what
Yeah.
happens, what time it happens, and kind of order of when it's going to happen. And yeah, I found it very useful, very very useful.
Have you got into colour coordination yet?
Not yet, but that thought did cross my mind, funnily enough, when I was making that timeline. I was like, there's a bits where like things are happening at similar times that aren't involving the same characters, but to kind of differentiate it, because they are like completely separate locations, I was thinking about colour coding it so it looks better, so I can just flow through it easier that way. Monstrous space, it might actually could turn into a massive rainbow by the time it's finished.
That could be fun. I'm going to walk in your house and it's just going to be like one wall that's just completely set in all these colour-coded flashcards.
You know the meme of Charlie Day in front of the conspiracy wall? That's going to be
Yeah.
me, but with all my storyboard beats.
And then I'll just walk in and go, and what happens next? And you just crumble.
Well, if that happens, that means that this happens. But if that happens, it means that that doesn't have to happen. But then you don't understand, Andy. You just don't understand.
Throw all the cards up and just walk away.
Rip the whole thing up and start again. It's effectively like rewriting a draft.
But you're just changing the order up by throwing all the cards up and seeing how they fall.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Andy, but I think that's a very famous interview with David Bowie as to how he makes some of his lyrics. He just writes random words down, jumbles them all up, and then picks ones out that kind of flow together and makes a song that way. I think I remember an interview with him saying that. Somebody in the comments is going to like loudly say that I'm wrong. But I think I remember seeing an interview with David Bowie where he said, like, on at least one of his songs, he wrote lyrics that didn't have any correlation to what he was going to be singing about, and then he kind of cut them all up into little pieces of paper, shuffled them all up, and then kind of linked them together, and that's how he kind of made some of the verses of some of his songs. I'm so annoyed now because I can't remember what interview it was. I think it was relating to Life on Mars, or Ashes to Ashes, one of those two, because the lyrics are kind of a little bit abstract and surreal. So I think that's kind of how he came up with those lyrics. So sometimes it can work if you kind of like take all your beats, shuffle them all off and see what happens.
We should totally write a film like that now. Just see how it goes.
Yeah, I can. It would make absolutely no sense. But then again, you could probably sell it as art house film, so you probably get loads of money for it.
It's like Cards Against Humanity, how you just like draw random cards and make random sentences.
Scripts Against Humanity.
There we go, yeah.
Someone's probably made that.
I'm going to keep my eye out for that now. That could be interesting.
How about yourself? How have you been doing with your writing recently?
Unfortunately, because of the house move that's upcoming, a lot of my writing's completely stopped at the moment. Which is unfortunate because I'm building up all these different storylines in my head, and when I've got downtime at work, I'm just mentally working on these scenes, but I just don't get the chance to write it out or rewrite what I want to rewrite at the moment.
It's frustrating when life does get in the way. I think we touched on this last episode as well, but I completely understand, like, house comes first. Like, you need to make sure that the house you've moved into is fit for purpose, and it's something you can feel comfortable and feel like it's yours.
Absolutely, and with the big house move coming up, I'm moving in with my partner soon, so there's a big life change as well.
Woo! I mean, have you moved in with him yet, or are you still waiting to? Are you just preparing?
Still waiting to at the moment. Yeah, we're getting everything ready, everything lined up.
I've met Andy's partner, and he is so lovely. He's so genuine. Like, you've got to keep her there, Andy. You've got to keep her.
Thank you. He's currently living his dream this week.
What's he doing?
He's working on a farm.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, which he's picked a great week for it during this British heatwave.
Oh, yeah, no. Outdoors all day in the blinding sun. It's going to come back feeling like he's been on holiday. Like, literally been on holiday. He'll be all tanned and everything.
He probably will be, but hopefully he'll be very inspired to keep going with the life that he wants, which is what I hope that we're doing with, talking about writing and with the dream that we want.
What is his dream, if you don't mind speaking about it on the podcast?
He's such an outdoorsy kind of guy. He wants an outdoorsy life, sustainable living.
Would like owning some farmland or some like land in the country be like his ideal like end goal, should we say?
I'd say so.
Yeah.
He'll be out there working the land, and I'll be sat inside like with all my own flashcards up on a wall.
That does sound like it's a lovely image. It's really really sweet.
Yeah, it comes down to surrounding yourself with people who are working hard to fulfill their dreams. I think it can inspire you to fulfill yours in a way.
Absolutely.
Tangential connection with you guys in NG Plus, and you're working so hard to put out all this content and doing something you're really passionate about. I've got my partner on the other side. He's pushing hard to do the thing he's passionate about, and I've got a group of friends who are building up an incredible business, and they're working hard on building that up, and it's spinning off into all different directions that they never saw coming. And I'm just sitting here going, I want to work on my stuff now too.
It's really like addictive. It's kind of like when you see like your friends doing really really well, and you're like, this is something that I'm really passionate about, and I really want to do really really well and stuff like that. It's a lovely feeling. It's so kind of it's validating as well. It feels a little bit like this is like my lifelong dream, and I'm working towards it, and I feel like I'm contributing in a positive way towards it.
Yeah, but unfortunately at the moment I need to rip out the waste pipes and replace those.
Oh no!
Spend my days painting.
It just sounds like a metaphor for writing as well. You need to rip out the waste pipes of your script, and then you've got your first edit sources.
Rebuild. Don't forget to go run into the shop crying because you got the wrong size of everything.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
In between all of this, I have had that amazing opportunity of having the script read.
Yes. How did I not mention this beforehand? But yes, Andie. I mean, I'll let you introduce it. It's your baby. You can introduce it.
So someone put a shout out on Twitter asking for people to submit their scripts to be read by a group of actors over a Zoom table read. It's only the first 10 pages, essentially.
Which is pretty common, I think.
Well,
it's a pretty common thing to have. If you're on the script read, it'll be the first 10 pages.
So I just thought, do you know what? I've got this script, the TV comedy pilot that I've been working on. I quite enjoyed working on when I had the chance. So I ripped the 10 pages and I sent them in, and I didn't think anything of it. I was like, if anything comes of it, that's nice.
I didn't even know you'd done that. I mean, I know you've been like kind of putting the feelers out there for like people who wanted to kind of like show interest in the script, that sort of thing. But I remember you just sent me a link to it like completely out of the blue, like, look what happened, Finn, look what happened. And I was like, oh my god. I think I was like just as excited as you. And I was like, I was still at work at the time when you sent me the link, and I was like, oh no, I'm still at work at the moment, but there's no one in the office, so I'm gonna start watching this. So,
Did you?
so I finished work and I was still watching it, and this is very very dangerous, by the way. But I was walking home with YouTube out in front of me, headphones in, probably not paying as much attention to the road as I should be, whilst I was listening to this read through.
Oh gosh! Try and practice sensible listening.
Yeah, if you're listening to this podcast, please make sure you're not walking into open traffic unless you are completely alert at the time.
I'm kind of grateful that he wasn't listening to it very loudly at work either, because in the first few lines there's jokes about packages and having a big package and all that jazz.
There's a mention of dildo at one point, and I'm like, I'm so glad that I don't have this on loud.
It could have got awkward very fast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so when I actually got the email saying, oh, we've read your script, it's here on YouTube, here's the link, I was like, oh no, can't click it. I went through that whole thing again where I was like, going to click it, didn't click it, going to click it, didn't click it.
Is that the same thing as the last episode where it's like you're trying to press send to send it off, and your body doesn't want to do it?
I'm going through such a phase with that, I think.
Did you watch it before you sent it to me, or did I watch it first and then you watched it afterwards?
So you watched it first.
Sorry, wrong time to take a drink.
I was absolutely shitting myself with it.
I think I remember you saying something like, I can't watch it. Can you watch it for me? I can't watch it.
It's just, I didn't know what to expect. So I know it wasn't going to be how I anticipated seeing, my script. I was seeing it as an animated comedy. I was picturing all these like colourful scenes in my head as I was writing it. So in my head, that's the image that I've got.
Mm-hmm.
I have a table read over Zoom. It's slightly jarring to my expectations. I
think as well because the actors and they're not all actors. I think they're actors and like producers and stuff like that work in the industry or have worked in the industry. Because they are the ones that read them are of an older age. They're not old, but they're of an older age. Some of the jokes may have flown over their heads a little bit.
They're out of my generation.
Yeah, they're out of our generation. Some of the jokes may have flown over their heads a little bit, which, I get it. But I also understand that maybe they weren't the target audience as well for that script.
Yeah, The way I see it, the target audience is probably people of a similar age to me, slightly younger, probably like mid-20s, people who are in these kind of jobs that I'm describing.
Yeah, like I said, the script that I read as well, that definitely came across as very much like you were writing for people of your own age group and younger, possibly. It
Yeah, that was my intention.
wasn't really for anybody that was over the age of 40, shall we say.
Yeah, and probably people who, spend their lives in office kind of jobs, office environments. I'm describing a different environment to what they're used to. So I suppose that the ability to imagine it or to embrace it is quite there.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like as well. Don't know if Andy, you want to make this a thing that you like put the link out to so everyone can listen to it, but I feel like the response you got from them, the feedback they got from them, some of it you have to take with a pinch of salt. Some of it I didn't agree with. Largely, the two male readers were very, very positive about the script. The two female readers weren't so much, but I feel like they weren't being mean about it. I think they were just taking it from another angle, maybe an angle that you didn't really kind of think of at the time, largely because it wasn't really aimed at that kind of age group. But I think a lot of the things that they mentioned at the time, it all kind of fell over one kind of crutch, which in the grand scheme of things wasn't actually a crutch. It's just in the first 10 pages you don't realise that that's actually paid off later on.
Yeah, it's one of the downfalls to having only 10 pages of it being read. So within that establishing kind of area, setting up the characters to subvert your expectations later on. So the character that you're describing, she's coming into an environment where on the surface, you'd be very judgmental and think she's unfit for this, she can't do it, like, why is she even here? But it's flipped entirely on its head that she's actually probably the best person there. Because it gets flipped later on than the 10 pages, obviously they don't get that payoff. When it comes to their feedback, yes, I can understand that critique. It's also lacking that later information, which is an unfortunate part of having a little bit of the information or a little bit of the script.
That's true. I think a 10-page read-through is a very common thing. I think BBC Writers' Room did that as well. I think I remember when I submitted my script, it was very much like, if you don't get past a 10-page read-through, that's how they can wean out a lot of scripts that don't make the grade. And I think that's also an industry standard as well, I think, if I'm right. I don't know. They'll read up to 10 pages. If they want to continue to read it longer, then they will. But I thought the first litmus test is that first 10 pages.
It's quite a standard that I've seen everywhere. They'll read up to a certain point and they'll decide within those few pages. So there's a lot of discussion around making that best impact in those first few pages.
Absolutely.
Which is great if, you want to go in, guns flying, everything going, establish everything and get that hook going. But if you're going for a long-term payoff, I think to be that judgmental in those first few pages it's not going to pay off for the writer, which is unfortunate.
It's annoying because there are certain genres and there are certain stories that you can't pay off within 10 pages. You can set something up, you can develop it maybe in 10 pages, but I don't think you can then pay it off at the same time, because that is something that comes later on. But I think the whole point of that 10 pages thing is that whoever's reading it want to know if it will grip you and continue to grip you. Because I think the thing I remember from when I was in university, I'm gonna put my stovepipe hat on. Is the thing is like when you're watching a TV show, like you will genuinely make a decision about a TV show within the first 10 minutes whether you want to continue watching it or not. I definitely feel that about certain things that are on Disney Plus in the Marvel section. Within the first 10 minutes of Miss Marvel, I was like, this is not grabbing me, so I probably didn't continue it. But yeah, I digress. But yeah.
So have you heard of Blake Snyder's Save the Cat?
So, you linked this to me a couple of weeks ago and I'd never heard of it. Please divulge.
Blake Snyder was an American screenwriter. He died in 2009, unfortunately. But he wrote this book called Save the Cat. A lot of people are really big on this as like a how-to guide on how to write. And Save the Cat's entire premise is based on hitting certain beats by a certain page.
I've heard the loose structure of this, but go on.
Yeah, so say over a 90-page screenplay, you're hitting this beat specifically on page such and such, or, this beat on this other page, and it's got to be dead on these page counts. And there's a lot of discussion around whether it helps people or it hinders people, because if you're working on such a tight reference to write with, say like, I need to get this incident done by page 50, I need to get this break done by page 6, like that.
Yeah.
And are you held back in what you're writing?
I think for me, that would hinder me a lot. I've already got enough anxiety as it is when I'm writing the script thinking, is this going to be good or is this going to be garbage? To then go like, well, I need to get this character to this point by page 20. I'm like, I don't need the anxiety of that. I think that's more of a like
Yeah.
you go through like on your second and your third edit of it, and then maybe you can think about shortening it down and getting it to a certain point. But I think when you're just writing the first script, the first draft, sorry, I'll just write whatever because it's more comfortable to do that rather than like, I need to get to this point by page 10, this point by page 20, this point by page 50. It just puts more stress on me, personally.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And I feel like linking back to that feedback that I got with this video read, if I'd have got all that information and that flip around within those first 10 pages, I think I'd have ruined what the script was.
I would
trying
agree.
to hit these specific beats.
I think it would have come across as being too short or rushed if you tried to put the payoff too early, I think. Unless you had another payoff set up as well, that wasn't going to be paid off just yet.
That was a long-term payoff. So
Yeah.
feeling that as critique, me, I was okay with it. I wasn't taking it internally. I wasn't, overthinking. I wasn't ruminating on it. I wasn't like going to rewrite this script based on this one piece of feedback because I felt comfortable in knowing that it pays off later on. Yeah. But I think if I'd have like opened up this video, watched them read it, and then the feedback would have been, "That's utter crap. I don't know what I'm doing. Why am I wasting my time?" I'd have been distraught.
Then again, that's not a constructive read anyway. If someone's just saying, "Oh, it's good" or "Oh, it's bad," it's not constructive. Just poo-pooing something and saying that it's rubbish, it doesn't add anything. It doesn't add anything to you trying to improve it. It doesn't add anything to their response of like, okay, then why is it rubbish? But I don't think you got that response from the read. You did get a very kind of nuanced kind of feedback from it.
Yeah, it was quite a wonderful experience, really, when I eventually got round to watching it.
I think when I watched it, I was like, okay, so the guys are really, really positive. The women aren't as positive, but they're not ripping it to shreds. So I think you should definitely watch it, Andy.
People laughed. That's the main thing.
They laughed. Yeah, that's the first thing I mentioned as well. I mentioned it's like they laughed, Andy. They laughed.
As soon as I got that message where you said, "Oh, they laughed," I was like, "Yes."
Like a full laugh. It wasn't like they're supposed to be funny. It's like an actual laugh.
I entertained people.
You did your job. Yay!
I can rest on my royalties now.
You can retire in 2023. Doesn't have to throw out another thing.
Exactly. I have peaked. We can cancel this whole podcast now. I've peaked.
We have been publicated. No.
I think you're right though when you mention anxiety and the anxiety of writing.
Yeah.
Me, I don't have the anxiety with writing it. I have the anxiety of other people seeing it. So to take that step to actually send it out, that was actually a really big step for me.
I'm proud of you for doing that. You've done something that I haven't done yet. Well, I did do it in the past, but like I haven't done it for a while. So I'm very, very proud of you.
Thank you.
It
paid off, but the experience was fantastic. It definitely set that be anxious about what people think. It's never going to be what the anxiety is telling you.
Oh yeah. Your anxiety is like it's your fire alarm for when things may go wrong. But sometimes, most of the time, it's talking absolute shit. It's talking a big game, but it doesn't know how to prove it.
Yeah, and anxiety and self-confidence, they go really hand in hand with this. And trying to break into the industry, if you've already got anxious tendencies, it's quite difficult to overcome both yourself and breaking into the industry itself and having to develop that thick skin of people are going to be critiquing me, people are going to be changing my work. This is what I'm choosing to do, so I need to be okay with it.
So
inside I'm probably dying.
And I think like professional writers as well, like go through this day on day. Like even when they've got the commission, they've got something out in production, that sort of thing. Every new episode, every new rewrite they're going to have that same situation where they're like, is this good enough? Are people going to like it? That sort of thing. I don't think it's something that goes away as soon as you get published either.
Oh, we hope to experience that.
We hope so, yeah.
Fingers crossed. So when it comes to feedback, what have you done in terms of sending yours out and letting your friends see it, and how do you feel about that?
I'm trying to arrange like a table read with my friends of the script that I'm working on at the moment, because I feel like it would be like when I'm reading back, I'm like, this flows well, I know what this means, that sort of thing. But for anybody outside of me and my own mind, it may just be a complete jumbled mess of nothing. But I won't know that until somebody's read it out, or I can hear someone reading it out as I'm going through it. I think that's why a table read is such a really good device to use for writers, that sort of thing. Having someone that can read your script, or you can listen to as they're reading the script out to know where the errors are, know where the strongest parts of the script are lying. It's a really, really powerful tool to have. I think I'm working on that. So I think next time I see Andie and a couple of our friends, we may arrange to do like a table read type thing. We just need to find a date where we're all free at the moment.
Yeah, the eternal adult problem there.
Yeah.
I think it'll be quite beneficial to you because just from my experience of having that table read, to see it read out, I can figure out what works and what doesn't work and what I can change. How having someone reading it can change my words are on the page, if that makes sense.
Just having like a different pair of eyes on it.
Yeah.
Because you are your own...
Different interpretations.
You are your own biased reader. So having somebody that's completely unbiased, has not seen it, doesn't have a preconception about it, to read it out and be like, okay, this bit's really good, this bit doesn't really make any sense, I don't understand what's going on here. That can kind of give you a bit of a leg up when it comes to the next rewrite, or to submit it when you get to that final draft.
I'm quite looking forward to doing a table read properly with some of your scripts.
Oh, God, yeah. I went back in the vault. I have yet to find the pizza script that I mentioned in the first episode. I think that might be lost to time.
I'm looking forward to this one.
I did have a good look though. I looked through my emails. I had a look to see if I can try and find the original email I sent to the BBC. Can't find it on there.
Right. I demand a rewrite.
You do not want to rewrite that terrible script. I can. I've gone back through my script writing folder from back when I was at university, and I have managed to find some terrible scripts that I submitted as part of my uni work, and also stuff that I've done that wasn't part of my uni work as well.
Yeah. And we have one for us to read out, don't we?
We certainly do, yeah. Are we going to read that now, or are we going to read that a little bit later on?
It's flowing really nice.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We'll start. We'll do the readout then, shall we?
Finn sent me his script called Goldilocks and the Three Bears Arms Bazaar.
Unfortunately,
when he sent it and it popped up on my screen, I was going through a slight kerfuffle and I misread it as Goldie Bollocks.
Which I am now tempted to rename it Goldie Bollocks and the Three Bears Arms Bazaar.
But my frustration really popped out there.
I just like that name now. Goldie Bollocks.
in my head, I was thinking, oh, bollocks, as Goldilocks came up on the screen, so it just blurred in my head. And I just went, oh, Goldie Bollocks.
Yeah, so for context on this script, it was written originally in 2011. So the script is already 12 years old. I wrote it during my last year of university. So I'll just give you a quick little taster of it. It was part of my coursework to adapt a fairy tale in a completely different genre. And I think it's the first 10 pages, I believe. Let me just double check. Okay, I wrote 12 pages of it because I like to overwrite. But I think it was like the first acts of this adaptation that we're doing. And this was my contribution, which was taking Goldilocks and the Three Bears and making it into a action thriller, as you shall see.
Can see the premise, yeah.
Yeah.
What made you choose Goldilocks?
I think a lot of people were picking like Red Riding Hood. A lot of people were picking Snow White and stuff like that. And I was like, I think because I was like, I'll pick a fairy tale that's relatively short so that I can expand on it more. I think like if I use a fairy tale that's got it's quite long and has a lot of like story and lore built around it, I won't have much wiggle room. So I picked this one because I'm like, relatively short book. And you can go in many different directions with it. So that's why I kind of picked that one. I felt like I was more open to interpretation on it.
Definitely a lot more room with it. I've not read this yet, so I don't quite know where it's going to go.
Okay, I'm nervous about this. This is a script that this is part of university work. This is not going to be submitted to be produced or anything like that. This is literally just the first script I found in my script writing folder.
It wasn't the pizza one, so unfortunately we can't give you that one.
When I find that pizza one, it's either going to be the greatest episode of podcasting history, or it's going to be the worst episode of podcasting history.
I am here for it.
I will still have a look for it, see if I can find it. I literally cannot find it anywhere at the moment.
I still think you should rewrite it.
I'll rewrite a purposely bad script.
Why not? Many people seem to. Oh!
Ooh, she got barbs tonight.
Ooh, she got sass. We won't get into that tonight.
Right. Shall we begin?
Yes. Are you reading the whole thing?
Do you want to volunteer to read certain parts, Andy? Do you want to read for Goldilocks and I'll read for... Well, we've got Goldilocks, Silver Bob, Daddy Bear, Baby Bear, and Rodney Riding Hood.
Oh, that's a lot of characters. Do you want me to read the scenes out, or do you want to read the scenes out?
I think I'll read the stage directions and the scenes. If you want to read the characters out, I think that'd be a lot easier, actually, if that's okay with you.
Yes, and we're about to see why I chose writing and not acting.
Same. Right, let's start. Let's stop funning around. Let's actually start this read through.
Dear audience, are you sitting comfortably?
Then I shall begin. Scene 1, exterior, Three Bears, Arms Bazaar, Eastgate, 9:37 p.m. Don't ask me why I said 9:37, I just put it down.
I love the specific.
The perfect time. We see a large iron gate flanked at either side by 2 watchtowers. Large 10-metre concrete walls encircle the compound at either side of the watchtowers. Spotlights continuously revolve around inside the watchtowers. Stop saying watchtowers. But all is calm. The entrance is seen from a long shot, and a short grassy expanse sits at the bottom of frame. The Passenger by Iggy Pop can be heard rising in volume. Graceful and violent, I don't know if that's actually possible, but okay. Graceful and violent, the rear tyre of a motorbike drops into shot. On it straddles a brunette woman in a cobalt blue evening dress and biker jacket, which is flapping in the wind. She wears no helmet. The music rapidly decreases in volume as the motorbike hits the ground and drives toward the gate. Scene 2. Exterior. Three Bears Arms Bazaar, Eastgate Security Hut. The woman doesn't make any attempt to silence her music as she pulls up to the security hut. A security guard stands up out of his seat and leans out of the window towards the woman. Although our typer says leans out the window. We'll move over that bit, that's fine.
We'll gloss the grammaticals.
Yeah. Before he can say anything, the woman uses her middle finger and thumb to thrust a security pass, no bigger than a credit card, in his face, causing his back to straighten a little. After his eyes have readjusted, he presses the buzzer. The siren sounds as the iron gate begins to slide open. Scene 3. Exterior. Three Bears Arms Bazaar, Courtyard. The woman drives across the courtyard with a cocky expression on her face. Parking the motorcycle between 2 flatbed trucks, she kills her music and dismounts. She sheds her biker jacket and drapes it across the handlebars. The woman is Goldilocks, a special agent tasked with eliminating the 3 criminal bosses of the compound. She's in her late 20s with a soft face, full lips, and long brown hair.
You're so right, Petrie. She does drive like a dream.
I take it you won't be returning that to him anytime soon. Silver Bob is Goldilocks' missions advisor and communications secretary at the agency. He's 51 years old, speaks with an at times overbearing, upper-class British accent. Goldilocks walks around the bike and checks the time.
Now that wouldn't be any fun now, would it?
Do you know how much paperwork I'd have to fill out for you to ride that thing? Goldilocks straightens up and puts a finger on her earpiece.
Thanks for the concern, Dad.
Goldilocks removes her finger from her earpiece and starts to seductively walk towards a metal door, filled with entering party guests, bordered by bouncers. It's not concern, it's company procedure.
Well, if it's for company procedure, don't let me stand in your way. It's not like I'm about to infiltrate a deadly Russian base at night, unarmed with only my good looks for company.
They're not that good.
Don't be mean. Keep me posted with any extra intelligence. Sift the shit, you know the deal.
I'll be here, Goldilocks.
Look, Silver Bob.
Scene 4, interior, Three Bears nightclub. A large room is filled to the brim with dancers and expensive evening wear. There are scantily clad female go-go dancers grooving around in metal cages. A crappy Europop record drones on in the background. The room has a long bar at the back. Goldilocks glides unhindered through the crowd. Scene 5, interior, Daddy Bear's war room. The war room is nothing more than a windowless office. Secretaries, strategists, and advisors scramble around in the small space. Daddy Bear is seated at his desk behind a 3D map of a compound which sits on top. Besides it sits a speaker box. He wears a worn-out camouflage jacket. We only see his fat torso. Has the shipment arrived yet?
They are at the south gate. 2 trucks. They are cross-examining paperwork now. I'll speed them through.
Have the missiles ready by 11 p.m.
You'll have them by 10.
Scene 6. Interior, Three Bears nightclub bar. Goldilocks reaches the bar and leans on the counter.
Lemon daiquiri. Hold the spit.
Sitting on a red fabric stool to her right, a man in a tuxedo and red bow tie knocks back a shot of whiskey. They saved a spit for the arrogant somebodies.
Makes you think I'm not an arrogant somebody.
Your wig slipping. Goldilocks stares in the mirror behind the bar, immediately starting to push a lock of gold under her brown hair.
Glue my hat.
Goldilocks recognises that the stranger is still looking at her and flashes an awkward smile, even not style. Flashes an awkward style in his direction. Flashes an awkward smile in his direction.
Never buy the counter hair dye in Russia.
Drop the act. I know who you are.
You? What's my name? Go on then. Humour me.
I don't know.
Pathetic.
You look like a Charlotte. Goldilocks puts her hand on his arm.
No, you really got to work on your chat-up technique.
The man grips her arm and pulls her closer. I don't need to know your name to know you're an agent.
How did you?
I've been trained. I suggest you need to work on your sloppy entrances.
You're undercover, is that it?
Does the name Riding Hood mean anything to you?
Children's bedtime story.
How about Rodney?
Oh, you're a double agent.
And that's the end of the 5 pages.
I like it. That's a really interesting premise. You're like making the bears
My first
arms
thought,
dealers. That's fantastic.
my first thought was like, I was trying to think of a pun. Like, what kind of pun can I think of? Like, there's no other way. When you say Goldilocks, the only person you think of is the fairy tale. But when you think of bears, there's a couple of different versions of a bear you can think of. And then I can't remember what film it was, but I remember in a film there was talk of like Russia being a bear or a metaphor of a bear. So I was like, yes, this is where the story seed is coming from. So I was like, you know what? It's not going to be Goldilocks being in their house, stealing their porridge and their chairs and their beds, that sort of thing. It's going to be Goldilocks going into a Arms Bazaar and recreating Goldeneye. That was what my premise of it was.
I like the idea of it. You're flipping the femininity of Goldilocks and making her like that secret agent, which is usually a man's role, but now we're slowly going into women can be secret agents, that sort of thing. I think that's a really good little spin.
Thank you. I was kind of like, when I did scripts when I was younger and stuff like that, it always ended up being like a male protagonist, and I was like, I got a little bit bored of it, to be honest. I was like, you know what? I'm going to start with a female protagonist, obviously because it's the fairy tale. It's obviously a nice, easy segue into making the female protagonist. But I kind of liked making like a grittier version of it rather than having like a cookie cutter version of a female protagonist.
Yeah, I feel like you could get really gritty with this. It could get quite bloody, it could get quite fighty. Do you know what? I could actually see you doing a really good scene there with her going into some sort of armory and trying out 3 of the different guns, like, oh, this one's too soft, this one's too hard, this one's just right.
And it's got it.
And then totally opening fire on everyone. That's a great little play.
I think I made a similar joke a little bit further on as well. This one's too hard, this one's too small.
See, there we go. You're opening it up really well.
Yeah.
I think in terms of, how you present it, I'm enjoying it. I really want to read more of it.
Well, there's another 7 pages, Andie.
Baby Bear seems a bit of in charge of everyone.
I think that was kind of the point of it. I mean, I don't mind like speaking about it as well because, like I said, it's not going anywhere else. But I think that the big twist was going to be that like Baby Bear was going to end up like toppling the hierarchy of what this space is. So I think it was going to end up like killing Daddy Bear and then becoming like the head, and then Goldilocks had to try and escape somehow.
Goldilocks and Baby Bear have interactions. Like I can see them forming some sort of alliance, but at the same time, it then parts ways.
Something along those lines, where Baby Bear like betrays Daddy Bear, then Goldilocks has some kind of interaction with Baby Bear. Maybe Rodney Riding Hood ends up getting killed or martyred in some way so that Goldilocks can escape. I think that's kind of where I was leaning into it. And obviously I haven't even introduced Mummy Bear yet. We don't know what Mummy Bear's going to be doing.
Do you know what? I hadn't even thought about Mummy Bear.
Mm-hmm. So,
that'd be interesting.
I think Mummy Bear is going to come in as like a bait and switch, or like some kind of like secret baddie is going to come in and it's going to end up being Mummy Bear effectively.
I can see Mummy Bear being the most hard ass of them all.
It's the one you least suspect.
Yeah, that's sweet. She'll give you an apple pie and knock you straight out with it too.
Yes.
Now, what I am quite intrigued by is this lemon daiquiri.
Yeah, you can tell this was written by someone who didn't really drink at that point, so they didn't know what a badass would drink in a bar. And it certainly is not going to be a lemon daiquiri.
Don't think I've ever come across a lemon daiquiri, but I kind of want one now, just without the spit.
Bartenders that are listening, can you make us a lemon daiquiri? I want to see one in the wild.
I think you can tell by how you've written this that this is quite an early one.
Yeah,
Having seen some of your later work now, you've definitely come on quite far. Your descriptions are totally different.
Yeah, well, when I first started stuff like that, I didn't know kind of like how to gauge how much description I need versus action. Whereas now I think I do a little bit too much description. I need to kind of reel it back a little bit, I think.
Yeah, try and bring it back into this blend of showing, not telling.
Yeah, and that's also another thing as well I noticed in the script as I was reading it back, that I do a lot of telling and no showing, particularly with who Goldilocks is, who Silver Bob is. Like, you don't need to explain it in the scene directions, it needs to show on screen.
Yeah. So I can see where you said Silver Bob was speaking over the earpiece. I take it you wouldn't be returning that to him anytime soon. And then underneath it, you've got who Silver Bob is.
Yeah.
Reading that, it's slightly jarring because you've introduced him and then you're like, oh, this is who he is.
Yeah.
But at that point, you've already established who he is.
It's redundant.
You can say, yeah. You can say over the earpiece, you can get that crisp upper class accent going over the earpiece. You can get that dripping sarcasm where he's slightly overbearing.
Mm-hmm.
And you probably won't need that descriptor of him very much.
You know who I
shrink that down.
You know who I pictured when I wrote Silver Bob in? I pictured Danny Wallace singing that.
Oh man.
I pictured his character Sean Hastings, which is basically just him from Assassin's Creed saying those lines. Sorry.
Musical Assassin's Creed.
You know, Ubisoft do like to release one every single year. You never know. They might do a musical version. They won't.
Might get one. So how was this received at university when you got feedback for it?
So, I'm going to bring it back up. I've got the paper version in front of me here. I can tell you how much I did. I got 68%.
Oh, wow.
Which I believe, if I'm right, was a B, or I think it's called a second, which is effectively a B. So, it's pretty highly scored. Not, like, amazing, obviously, because of the things we mentioned beforehand, but it's very, very close to being a first upper or second upper, I think is, like, A star.
Wow.
I'm trying to translate this for any Americans that are listening. Because they might not necessarily translate over, but yeah, 68% I got for that one.
What did your tutor say about it?
Let's have a look. If I can read his writing. This is an entertaining twist on the Goldilocks story. It is competently handled and reads well. If it's not always clear whose side everybody is on and why Goldilocks decided to interfere. The dialogue is appropriate and there is some integrity in the visuals. What is it on that?
Well, that's a lovely line, that. Integrity on the visuals.
Integrity on the visuals. And very visually integral. So, yeah, that was my script from 12 years ago. Yeah, 12 years ago.
Wow.
That makes me feel so goddamn old.
I wouldn't have thought, if you'd have told me if it was 12 years ago that you wrote this, you don't have any references to that kind of time frame down in your script. So it's quite timeless in itself. You can actually apply that to even now, 2023, where you're 12 years along the line.
I think when I wrote it, I wrote it as like late 80s, 90s action film. I never actually kind of alluded to it in the script. I never said like 1995 or whatever. I just literally wrote it kind of like generic action movie kind of cheese. That's how I wrote it. Yeah. So it can be any time.
Would you be interested in a little challenge here?
Oh no. Okay, I think I know what this question is going to be, but yes, go on.
How about you give it a rewrite?
You know what? After reading it again and writing it again, I think I might just rewrite the first 5 pages again and just see if I can do a better version of it.
Yeah, and then we'll see how you feel with it.
Yeah.
Because 12 years down the line now, you've picked up a lot of different writing techniques. Your writing's definitely changed from what I'm seeing in the page to what I've seen you write recently. So I think it'd be quite interesting to see what you do with it. I'm
interested to see what it's going to look like as well because, like I said, I think this will be an easier... I say this now. This may be an easier script to do because I don't think I've not got that kind of pressure of like this isn't something that's going to go out to be produced or this is going to be something that's going to go out to kind of calling card me.
Yeah,
I think it might be easier for me to rewrite this. Sorry.
It's like you know when you see the artists on Instagram and all the other socials where they're doing the 10-year challenge where they show an art that they've drew.
Yes.
And then 10 years they redraw it.
Yes.
I think we should do the same here.
I really like those the videos. I remember. There's a couple of art YouTubers as well who do the same thing. Like they redraw their own art, old art, sorry.
Yeah.
It's quite therapeutic. You can kind of, you remember like your thought process going into it as you're doing it, as you're rewriting it. You kind of get reminded of it. It's kind of nostalgic in a kind of nice way.
Yeah, definite. Oh no, I'd love to see what you do with it.
We'll watch this space. I'll work on it behind the scenes. I think what we're going to do next podcast is Andie's going to bring one of her old scripts out, and we're going to read that out, and hopefully not point and laugh at it, but we're gonna we're gonna read it out, and then I can give you some good feedback to that as well.
Yeah, and then maybe I'll try and rewrite that.
That would be cool, actually. Yeah, we can rewrite our old scripts. That would be really cool, wouldn't it?
I know exactly which script I'm going to give you to read.
Ooh, I'm intrigued now. Are you going to give us a little teaser now, or are you going to wait until after?
Wait and see.
Ooh, she's being mysterious.
I'm just going to quickly rewrite my Goldilocks and the Three Bears one.
Watch his face in a month's time. Goldilocks and the Three Bears is out in cinemas. Someone was listening to our podcast.
Right, it's been fun. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's been great.
Thank you. I'm caked in sweat now, and it's not because of the heat. It's because of the anxiety of like reading that, even though it was from 12 years ago and literally for a school project, effectively. But yeah, I'm glad I did it, and I'm very, very thankful for the good feedback you've given me.
Very welcome.
I feel inspired.
I'm not going to pretend to be a professional. I know the professionals out there will say a lot different to what I've said, but I quite enjoyed it.
You take it to a professional script reader like, this is shit.
What are you doing? What are you thinking?
What is this? Where's the actual script?
It's good. It showcases what you can do, and there's a lot of you in it that I can see.
Thank you. I'm going to rewrite it, and then randomly another character called Andie's going to pop up in it somewhere.
I'll be the bartender.
You'll be the bartender.
Lemon daiquiri. We don't have those. We don't know what those are.
The bar just sells lemon daiquiris, nothing else.
Yeah.
And that one shot of whiskey, that's all they had.
You know what? In 10 years' time, because of this podcast, I'm going to completely change the trajectory of my life, and I'm going to open a lemon daiquiri bar.
Oh my god! And I'll be your only patron.
It'll be like in 3 episodes' time where I declare, no, we're closing shop. I'm opening a daiquiri bar.
It'll be 3 episodes time. It's like, I like to declare that I hate lemon daiquiris.
Wait, I'm going to Google that. Hold on 1 second.
Is it an actual drink? I can't remember if it is or not. It just sounded posh when I wrote it.
Goog.
It's an actual drink. Oh my god.
Why?
I thought I made that up.
Are you on Make Me a Cocktail?
I am on it.
You can make me a cocktail.
And the next podcast, we're going to be absolutely steaming drunk. Just on daiquiris.
So according to this, it does exist.
It does exist as an actual drink. Do you want me to read the instructions?
Yeah.
For this ingredient, you will need 30 millilitres of that, you need that. A wedge of lemon, 30 millilitres of white rum. Contro is the word I was looking for. 30 millilitres of white rum, 45 millilitres of lemon juice, 50 millilitres of sugar syrup, and 1 teaspoon of sugar. I'm not reading the rest of it out. And you mix it all together and it becomes a daiquiri.
We need to make these. We're going to be celebrating with.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, the next podcast, I'm going to be steaming drunk.
What makes you think I'm not?
With her gin.
Hey, it's a nice gin.
Hey, I'm not putting down gin and tonic, because gin and tonic is amazing.
I'm sorry, gin tocket.
Gin and tonic.
Gin tocket. Oh,
I swear, I'm not drinking as well. I'm drinking cola. I'm not drinking anything alcohol.
Honestly, that sounds like a villain. Gin tocket.
Gin tonic. Aha! It's me, gin tonic.
You've just spawned a new villain. New character.
Maybe they're the person that finally topples Mummy Bear. It's gin tonic. Please.
See, this is how ideas just come about.
Yeah, we're just doing a brainstorm. This is not a podcast. It's just us brainstorming for the next script. Right. What's the next thing on the rota? Is that the last bit?
Was it? Yeah. We can go and cool down.
Oh God, yes. I think before we recorded this, I was lying on the sofa, I know I feel like an old man by saying this, but I'm lying on the sofa because my back hurts.
Oh, you're aging yourself there.
Yes, I'm over 30 because everything aches for no reason.
You get out of bed and you creak.
Yeah, I got out of bed and I've broken my back.
I slept funny the other day. My neck was off all day. It was ridiculous.
We need to put your neck back on then. Simple fix.
I've just left it there. I left it in the bed.
We'll come back for that later. We don't need that.
Right, well, I think we can leave it here and go cool down.
That's an amazing idea. We need to do that now. You watch next time I'm around Andie's. Oh, Finn! Hi, how are you? Daiquiri?
Finn, you know I'm going to be doing it.
Oh my god, please.
In fact, when this episode goes out, I'm going to post a picture of me and you with lemon daiquiris.
Oh my god. Yes, let's make it happen.
We have to make this happen.
Oh, it can be really, really, like, disappointing if we, like, take one sip and like, this tastes like battery acid.
We need to adjust the script.
A strawberry daiquiri this time.
There's probably someone out there one day who's going to come across this podcast whilst they're drinking a lemon daiquiri and going, hey!
Oh my god, my people! Right, okay, there's enough lemon daiquiris for anyone. Thank you for joining us in this conversation.
It's been a pleasure.
I have been Finn.
I've been Andie. This has been...
The Path to Publication. I didn't forget. You forgot. This is going to be more blooper than podcast.
Hey, it's Andie here. Here's a few things that didn't quite make it into the podcast.
The two female readers weren't so much, but I feel like they were also kind of coming at it from a point of view of... Sorry? I was having a heart full. I was giving you compliments then. It was like burp in the background.
We've got to edit that one out.
That's in the blooper roll at the end.
I'm sorry, that was the gin.
Can you tell that she's been drinking?
It's my first drink of the weekend.
You're a mess, Andie.
Anyway, get a reset on that take, please.
Let's have a reset. Yeah, take 2.
So, have you heard of Blake Snyder's Save the Cat?
So you linked this to me a couple of weeks ago, and I'd never heard of it. Please divulge.
I'm gonna have to do a bit of research now. The background.
Researching intensifies. Play a little background music whilst
Andie
researches.
Call is very important to us. We're number 3 in the queue.
I almost completely killed my keyboard then with a spit out the cola. Sorry.
We're gonna edit out the keyboard there.
Stop being funny.
Sorry. I'll save it for the writing when I've not got time. You are gonna edit this bit out.
No, I'm gonna leave it in.
Oh, what?
Just have the loud clicky clacking of the keyboard.
Yeah, well, if you're going to put in my burp, you might as well put in my awkward, I'm researching. Erection.
Oh, shit, sorry. I'm just enjoying it so much in my head. I had the missiles ready to bit. Try again. I'm having the coughing fit again. Thank you for joining us in this conversation.
It's been a pleasure.
I have been Finn.
I've been Andie.
Wait, hang on. How did we mess the outro up twice?
We don't know what our outro is, that's why.
Hang on, Ash is ringing me. Hello? How are you? Yeah. That's fine. Alright, see you later. Will do. Bye. Ash is back from his mandates and he's saying, I'm just going to go over Nathan's house. I'm like, that's fine. No problem.
Oh, it's like ringing your mum after you've been, I'm going to my mate's house.
It is a little bit like that. I'm going to my mate's house. Is that alright? No, you have to come back and do the dishes.
Yeah.
So wait. Yes, the outro. This is all going in the blooper reel, by the way.
You've got to put having the phone call because last time was you getting the Amazon parcel.
That's true. I got an Amazon delivery halfway through the podcast.
This time it's you doing Ash's ringing you.
Yeah, this time it wasn't technically my fault. That was Ash ringing me. I didn't know he was going to ring me. Right, okay, let's try this again. 3, 2, 1.